Welcome to Entrusted to Lead. I'm Danita Cummins, and this is episode 7 of our Clarity season, the second to last episode in this 8-part series, which has been super fun, by the way. So thanks for joining me. Today, we're going somewhere quieter, somewhere more personal, because all the work we've been doing this season, naming what's ours, subtracting what isn't, leading through the fog, all of it depends on something we rarely ever talk about, whether you're actually present. So grab your cup of coffee, friend. I want you to be here for this one, so let's get started. Here's a pattern I see everywhere, and I see it in myself too, which is why I love this podcast, because I can be honest with you. We are physically in one place, but we're mentally in 3 others. We're at dinner with our family, but we're replaying the hard conversations we had that afternoon. Or we're sitting in church, but we are mentally organizing the week ahead. We're listening to our kid tell us about their day, but we're also composing an email in our head. Or we're lying in bed, but our mind is running through problems we can't solve at 11 o'clock at night, or 2 in the morning, if you're my husband. And we're never fully anywhere, though. Do you see it? And we don't really call it a problem. We call it being responsible or caring or some other word that sounds valiant and, night-worthy. Or we call it just how life is when you carry a lot. It's just the way that it is. But what if it's costing us more than we realize? Let me name what you actually lose when you're living mentally elsewhere. You lose connection with the people right in front of you. Your spouse can tell when you're not really there, or when you're not really listening. Your kids feel it, your friends know. People sense when you're nodding along, but in your mind, you're somewhere else. And over time, that erodes the trust and the intimacy that matter most in our lives. And you lose your capacity to hear from God, because discernment requires stillness. It requires being able to sit with something long enough for the quiet voice to surface. But when your mind is constantly racing 3 steps ahead, you can't hear anything subtle. And you can only respond to what's loud. You lose the ability to actually rest, because if you're mentally at work when you're at home, and you're mentally solving problems when you're trying to sleep, and you're mentally carrying tomorrow's weight when you're still standing in today, then you're never really not working. And eventually that breaks something. And you lose yourself. This is the one that we don't talk about enough, I think. When you're never fully present, you stop knowing what you actually feel, what you actually need, and what you actually want. And you become so focused on managing everything around you that you lose touch with what's happening inside you. And that, friend, is the complete opposite of clarity. So why do we live like this? Why is it so hard for us to be where we are? First, because we've been taught that responsible people think ahead, that good parents anticipate problems, or that faithful people are always preparing for what's next. And all of that is partially true. I'm married to a prepper, so responsibility and preparation is part of our lives. But somewhere along the way, we started to believe that being responsible means we're never fully being where we are. Always, we have to be one step ahead, and we always have to carry tomorrow into today. Second, because presence feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? Just think about it for a second. When you're fully present to what you are carrying, you actually have to feel it. The weight of it, the uncertainty of it, the grief of it, the exhaustion of it. And sometimes it's easier to escape mentally than to sit with it. It just is. Have you ever sat on the side of a hospital bed waiting for a person to die, and there's nothing you can do to stop it? That is not easy. It is not good. It is exhausting. It is easier for us to live in the what's next, because what's now feels like it might be a little bit too much. We might not all be doing hospice care. So I don't want to make this a hospice care podcast episode, but I think the similarities are super important. And third, it's because we confuse presence with passivity. We think that if we're not constantly planning, anticipating, solving, then we're not doing our part, and we must somewhere be dropping the ball. But none of that is true, because presence is not passivity. It is actually the foundation of everything we've been talking about this entire season. Presence is how you build trust. People trust you when they feel seen by you and when they sense that you're actually there, not just physically, but fully. Your spouse, your children, your friends, your parents, your team. When you're present, they know that they matter, and that creates something no strategy can manufacture. Presence is how you make wise decisions, because you can't discern well when you're mentally scattered. You just can't. And wisdom requires the ability to sit with complexity, to hold tension, to wait before you act. And you can't always do that if you're not here in this moment. And presence is how you sustain yourself through hard seasons. It is. I have been through a lot of hard seasons in the last few years, and presence is, it's where my breath is. This is a thread from the last episode, because you can't endure what you won't acknowledge. And if you're not present to what you're actually carrying or feeling, then you can't steward your own heart through it. You just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until something breaks. And real resilience isn't toughness, it's presence. It's being fully here, even when here is hard, and choosing to stay in the moment. We're going to do a whole kind of season like this in the fall about resilience. So super excited about that. But resilience is presence. It's not pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. That's not what it is. So what does it actually look like to practice presence? Here, I'll get specific and I'll give you a few specific things. It means single tasking. So when you're having a conversation, be in that conversation. When you're eating dinner with your family, put the phone in another room. No toys at the table. No toys at the table. And when you're praying, close the mental tabs. I know it's hard, trust me, but try. I know it feels inefficient or something, but it's not, because when you're fully present, conversations go deeper and discussions get clearer and relationships get stronger. And divided attention doesn't save you time. It dilutes everything across your entire portfolio of all the things that you try to manage. The second thing that presence actually looks like is it means naming what you're actually feeling, not spiritualizing or minimalizing it. And I'm not an advocate to say I'm fine when you're not, or feeling like you're, super dramatic. That's not what we're trying to say. But there's just an honest acknowledgement to say something like, this is harder than I thought, or I'm carrying more than I realized, or I don't know what comes next, but that scares me. And you don't have to broadcast it to everyone, actually. You probably don't need to tell anyone, but you do need to acknowledge it inside yourself. And if you have the chance to acknowledge it to someone who is safe, because you can't be present to what you won't name. And the third thing is it means creating transitions, because if you go straight from hard phone call to bedtime with your kids, you're bringing the residual of that conversation with you. You are not fully there because you are still back at the phone call, right? So you've got to create transition space. Even it's small ones. Take 5 minutes, take a walk, breathe, journal for 2 minutes, pray, do something that helps you close one door before you open the next. That is a powerful, powerful tool. And the last is that it means protecting time to not be productive. Presence requires margin, space, or time when you are not solving or producing or managing anything. If your entire life is scheduled for output, then you're never being fully present. You'll just be executing the next thing that's on the to-do list. So you've got to build space into your week where you just be. Just be. Presence is cultivated in the space between tasks, not in the tasks themselves. So let me tell you what I'm working on personally, because I don't want to stand here and try to give you principles that I'm not wrestling with myself. I don't think that's true and honest and part of why we do the podcast and why we are where we are. But I am practicing being where I actually am instead of living 3 steps ahead. I said that before. I live 8 years forward in my head. And that practice has been really hard because my mind wants to go forward and it's my default answer. But like I shared on the podcast before, when I try to project forward into the what is coming or how do I build a plan or what are the next 10 steps, I can't go there anymore. I can't build it. It's blank. And I'm learning that when I'm mentally 3 steps ahead, I miss what's right in front of me. I miss the moment when someone needs my full attention, or I miss the look on their face, or I miss the crease in their eye that tells me they're having a really hard time, or they're tired, or they're overwhelmed. I miss the insight that would have come if I would have just sat with the question longer, because I don't always know the answer right out of the gate. But mostly, I think I miss the joy of where I'm actually at because I'm already somewhere else. And so I'm practicing very simple things. Like when I'm with someone, then my phone goes down or I leave it in another room. So don't call me because I probably won't answer the phone on the weekends because I don't even have my ringer on. Or when I'm working on something, I close my other tabs unless I've got a Spotify tab open and I listen to music. Or when I'm home, then I've created this little ritual that helps me leave the day behind. And I'm home, present with the people that I love. And when my kids come for a visit or when we have family time, I'm with them because they matter. It's not perfect, but I'm practicing because I'm realizing that the quality of my life is directly tied to the quality of my presence. And at the end of all of my days, when I get to the place where my life will end, none of the to-do list things in my life will come flashing before my eyes. I have sat with enough people on their deathbeds to know the questions that people ask at the end of their life. And they are not about checklists. They are about the people that they love. And so we have to practice the simple things. Jesus was fully present. When he sat with the woman at the well, he wasn't thinking about the next town or what they were going to eat later. He was just there with her, and he saw her for who she was. And when he was with his disciples, he wasn't mentally planning the next miracle. He was there, teaching them, being with them. And when he was on the cross, he was present to the thief beside him. I think Jesus modeled presence not as like a spiritual luxury, but as a way of life. Because he said, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. But not because tomorrow doesn't matter. Of course, tomorrow matters. Of course, it's important, but because presence in today is where faithfulness lives. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to choose one context where you're constantly not present. Maybe it's dinner, maybe it's conversation with your spouse, maybe it's Sunday morning, maybe it's bedtime with your kids. I don't know, whatever it is for you. But I want you to practice being fully there. I want you to put the phone away, close the tabs, mental or physical, on your browser, and I want you to name what you're feeling. Just be here. There's this great practice in yoga that I was sharing with my son the other day because, as many of you know, 3 of my 4 kids are first responders, and so they have hard days where they can't fully be present in the moment because their skill and their training and all of their adrenaline kicks over and they're working to save the life of the person that's in front of them. But along the way, hearts get hurt, right? And they see hard things. And I was sharing with him this powerful practice that I learned in yoga years ago, where before you start your yoga practice, the teacher would just simply say, is there any place on your body that is hurting today or needs a little bit more attention or a little bit more grace? And if so, just place your hand on that shoulder or knee or whatever it is and just acknowledge it. And at first I thought, is she doing that because she wants me to show her that I've got a wounded shoulder, so she's going to be watching me while I'm doing this downward facing dog? But I now have come to, that's the striver in me, perfectionist. But I have now come to realize how powerful that expression is in just acknowledging where it hurts. I don't need to tell anybody else about it. I don't need a production. I don't have to post it on social media. It's not that kind of a thing. But it honors me. I honor myself in my heart when I do that one thing. Because presence isn't a luxury that you earn when life slows down. It's a discipline and a practice and a choice. And it might be the most important thing this clarity season has to offer you, friend, which is what is super important to me. So before you go, if you want to know what you bring to the table when you're leading from a clear, honest place, I created a quick quiz called What is Your Leadership Superpower? And it only takes a couple minutes, and you find the link in today's show notes. Again, it's the only place you're going to find it. You're not going to find it anywhere else. So take the quiz. Let me know what you think. This is Entrusted to Lead, and I am Danita Cummins, and thank you so much, friend, for being here again today. I truly appreciate and value you, wherever in the world that you are. And so the next episode is our season finale. I can't believe it. We made it all the way through. We are closing the clarity season with the questions that clear the static, because sometimes the clarity that we're looking for doesn't come from having the right answers. It comes from asking the right questions. So, as always, keep showing up every day, even when it hurts, because you matter, okay? You really do. And I hope you have an amazing day, friend. I'll see you later. Bye.